everyone, it's me Geeky and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favourite reads for 2021. So I decided to go with 10 different series. There are probably more series that I could have added to the list. There's not really any rules that I gave myself with this kind of pick, which is probably bad. I probably should have just stuck with what I picked up during 2021, but I can't remember if I solely picked these up during 2021 or if I just read them during 2021. So all I know is that I read all of these during 2021, but I don't know if I purchased them all during 2021. If that makes sense. But yeah, I think I've got a good mix of seinen and josei and shoujo. I think I've got one shonen in there, but I feel like I read a decent amount of stuff this year. I know there are some things that I could have definitely added to this list that I didn't, but having said that, I think we've got a decent amount. Now let's kick it off with the first one, which we'll start with the shonen and seinen, okay? So I could not do a favourite reads of 2021 without including this. This is Sweat and Soap by Kintetsu Yamada. This is actually a romance and it's a seinen, but oh my god guys, I've spoken about this on my channel numerous times, and this has to be my all-time favourite, healthiest romance series ever. Like, ever. And I'm really surprised that it's a seinen. Now, normally when I think of a seinen, I think of really dark themes, more adult type content, although there does have adult content in this, but when I say that I mean like more darker themes, and especially when a romance is aimed towards a male kind of demographic, it tends, or a male audience, sorry, I always find that there seems to be a lot of fan service that I don't necessarily enjoy. It doesn't necessarily add much to the story. It's just there to have a booby shot or a panty shot. There's no reason for it to be there. It's just there for fan service. Not to say that that's bad. Sometimes I do enjoy it. It's quite funny, but the majority of the time when it comes to a romance, it's definitely not my thing. When I went into this, I thought it was actually a josei. When I found out that it was a seinen, I was extremely shocked. This is beautifully written, beautifully drawn. Kintetsu Yamada has an amazing way to tell stories and be really realistic with the characters that she's gone with. I love this series so much. It's been a fantastic read. Volume 11 is actually out already, but I'm yet to get my hands on it. But when I do, I will have this complete in my collection, and I am so glad that I do. Some people are put off by the sniffing. Obviously, our guy at the front here, he obviously... I didn't even give you guys a premise, did I? Basically, we've got some... our two characters in their 20s. We have got Asako. She is an office worker. She has a secret though, and that's that she sweats a lot and she's very self-conscious of her body odor, and there's not a whole lot that will mask it apart from the soap at her works. And this guy here, I always forget his name. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. The dude, he actually develops the perfumes and the products for the company. So basically he walks past her in the lobby, he gets a whiff of her, he loves her scent. Then they end up in this weird kind of like friendship relationship where he has to come and sniff her every day, and then from there, from a friendship blooms this beautiful healthy relationship. And it was so good. It's been such a fun read. Yes, there's smexy scenes. Yes, it gets spicy. Yes, it gets steamy. Do I complain about that? Am I complaining about that? No. I could have gone with more. I would have appreciated more. We could have had more. But this series has been so much fun to read. Such a joy to collect. And I'm so sad to see it ending. But this is one that I definitely recommend. Next up is a shonen title that actually, when I read the manga initially, I liked, but by the end of volume 1 I wasn't convinced on how much I liked it, if I wanted to continue collecting it. But then I went on Netflix and they had the anime, and then the anime went past the first volume and I was hooked. Let's just say that I fell in love, and that is Eden Zero by Hiramashima. This follows this guy on the front here. I think his name is Geeky. He is on a planet where there is just robots. He is the only human on this planet, and a girl called Rebecca flies in on her spaceship and lands on the island, makes friends with Shiki. All of a sudden all these robots turn evil and start like attacking them, and Shiki leaves the island to try and find this mystical being named Mother. Basically that's the basic premise. It's not very good explanation or synopsis, I know, but this series has been so much fun to read. I'm on volume 13 now. Volume 14 was released just before Christmas, but I haven't picked it up yet. But I have read Rave Master by Hiramashima. I really enjoyed that. I have read some of Fairy Tail, but watched a lot of the anime, and it's okay. I don't think that it's amazing, but this to me is literally like One Piece in space. This is so much fun. I love that we're in space. I love that the space is also like fictional, because like it's the Sakura cosmos and there's like Sakura petals floating everywhere. It's like super cute, super pretty, and we've got such an amazing array of characters. Some characters look like characters from Fairy Tail, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like Hiramashima just kind of maybe recycled some of his characters, but I'm not mad at that because it's a different story. So they're all different types of characters. We have got Happy the cat here, but he's not a normal cat. I don't want to say too much without like spoiling it, but it's been so much fun. It's been such a fun read. There's so many great action scenes. The anime was great. Like, the last couple of volumes that I've read of this reminded me a lot of Fishman Island, because it's set in a cosmos outside the Sakura cosmos, and it's on an island or a planet where they have to go under the sea to a town like that's been submerged in water. It's so good. It's so good. I love that there's a mix of robots and humans, and basically the power of friendship, because it's a shonen. There wouldn't be a shonen series if it wasn't to do with the power of friendship as well. But it's been so much fun, and I'm so glad that Caitlin got me into this, so thank you, girl. But this is one of my favourite shonens that I've read this year for sure. Next up is a series that at first I really didn't like, and you guys are probably going to be like shouting in the comments going, oh my god, Geeky, I can't believe you didn't like this is like the best thing ever. But honestly, the first omnibus I really didn't enjoy. I'm one of those readers where it's kind of like, if it doesn't grip me within the first like 1 or 2 volumes, then I'm not interested. And being an omnibus, it was like the first 2 or 3 volumes and it really didn't grip me, but like, you guys told me to keep going and I did, and I'm so glad that I did, because it honestly surprised me, which is why it's in my favourite reads of 2021, because I honestly didn't think that I was going to enjoy it after reading the first omnibus, and that is Monster, the Perfect Edition by Naoki Urasawa. Oh my gosh, this had me like on the edge of my seat at some volumes. It's incredibly drawn. Naoki Urasawa knows how to like write a story. It always starts off really slow and then it kind of builds and builds, and it has layers upon layers of like story and information, and it has you going back and like rereading stuff thinking, oh yeah, like I can't believe I missed that out, and like stuff like that. And it was such a great read. Like, the antagonist in this series, like by the end of it I kind of felt sorry for the antagonist, but at the same time like mad at them. So like, I don't know. There was something about this series that by the end of it, I was literally like head over heels in love with Naoki Urasawa's works. So because of reading this, I've ended up picking 20th Century Boys, 21st Century Boys, oh my gosh, Asadora, which I'm really enjoying, and another one shot that they've done. I think it's called Mujuriyushi, which was done, which was like based at the Louvre in Paris. So yeah, like, oh, this was an unexpected favourite read for me for 2021, not gonna lie. I genuinely wasn't expecting to enjoy this series as much as I have done, so I'm so happy that you guys actually put me like up, like push me to finish the series. I fell in love with Dr. Tenma as he's trying to fight for his innocence, like prove his innocence, because he obviously hasn't killed anyone during the series or in the beginning of the series, but it just was such a great read. I'm honestly really bad at synopsis for this series because I don't want to give it away, but it basically follows a guy called Dr. Tenma. He's working in Germany and he ends up treating a patient, and after treating a patient, instead of treating like a more infamous kind of character in the series, like a mayor I think it was, instead of treating them, he ended up treating a couple of kids. And then after he treats the kids and the kids come around, strange things start to happen. There's a load of doctors in the facility that he works at that ends up getting killed, and he's basically suspected of murder as he had an argument with said doctor, and stuff kind of spirals out of control from there. He's running from the police, he's wanted for murder, so he's going from country to country in Europe, but in doing so, in running away, he's actually helping other people and building allies along the way. So it's just an incredible read. There's such a big world within this series, even though they only go to a few different countries. It's amazingly well done. Like, each country that we go to feels like somewhere that you could genuinely live in. Like, it's just incredible. I'm truly thankful to you guys for telling me to continue with this series, because if it wasn't for you, I genuinely would have dropped it after this volume. But by Omnibus, I think it was like by Omnibus 2 and halfway through for Omnibus 3, I was like, yep, I need to get this. I need to get this now. So yeah, thank you guys so much for like kicking my backside and being like, Geeky, get on that because you're gonna really enjoy it, because I did. Believe me, I did. Next up is, I believe, another seinen, or it could be shonen, but it is another romance title, and that is Blue Flag by Kaito? I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but this is a romance title. It's a high school romance title. It follows these three characters on the front, as this young lady here, I think her name is Futaba, she is in love with Toma, and this guy on the front, Kaichi, basically is the dude in the middle, as he has to try and like, he agrees to basically help Futaba get to know Toma a little bit better. However, things aren't as simple as that, as so many things happen in this series. It ends up being a love triangle, but not necessarily a love triangle that you would expect. This is such a great series. It is LGBT. It's got such great character development in this series. It shows characters at their best, characters at their worst, what it's like to deal with a lot of stuff in high school as a teenager, and about coming out to your friends, and a lot of heartache and a lot of heavy emotions in this series. But oh my gosh, I loved this. I love this series so much. I loved the beginning and the middle and the lead up to the end. I wasn't keen on necessarily how it ended. I loved who the people ended up with. However, I didn't like the journey that it took to get there, as we see them in high school, and then the final chapter is a time skip, and then we don't know how the characters ended up with who they ended up with. There was definitely a lot of room there for more volumes, so I was a little bit disappointed in that. However, this series was an amazing read. The characters, I say, was amazing. There were some characters in here that I kind of disliked to start off with, but then we learn about their backstory and a little bit more about them, and then I started to kind of fall in love with the character. And like the character that I'm talking about is a female character. I can't remember the name off the top of my head as it's been a while since I've read this, but she definitely helped out some of these characters in this series towards the end of the series itself. It was just such a great emotional read. It's not normally the type of series that I gravitate to in terms of it's either a seinen or a shonen romance. Now, as I said before, speaking about Sweat and Soap, I don't tend to go towards those because they end up having like these panty shots, and I'm like, really? Is that necessary for this kind of type of thing? So when I picked this up and it didn't have anything like that, it was just, you could see yourself in the classroom with these characters. Like, it was super realistic and I just loved it. It was really well written, really well drawn. The art style is beautiful. I want to show you guys some of the art actually. Like, the art style is gorgeous and the characters are just so well fleshed out in my opinion. But as I say, towards the end of the series, particularly the last volume, I just didn't like the last chapter. I felt like we could have had more material to go through, because during that period of their lives, during the end of high school into college, it would have been interesting to see them deal with the choices that they initially made and how they ended up with the people that they ended up with. I would love to have seen that like in manga form, rather it being left to like our imagination. It would have been more interesting for me, at least. I would have loved to have seen that. But overall, I absolutely loved this series and would definitely recommend it to anybody that's interested in a romance series with a kind of, not even a love triangle, it was more like a love square. But yeah, definitely give this a go because it's a really great series. Better hydrate myself, I can feel my voice starting to go. For anyone wondering, this is just jokes, it's not mine. Haven't got to that stage yet, guys, haven't got to that stage. Moving on, we are down to the shoujo and josei favourite reads of 2021. Yeah, so let's just get started. So the first one is Bitemaker, The King's Omega by Miwako Sugiyama. I think that's how you say it. I'm so sorry if I butcher these names. But this is a series that I started picking up more towards the latter half, middle to latter half of last year. And oh my gosh, it's been an eye-opener because I've never read anything to do with an Omegaverse, and this has opened up my eyes. It's definitely like a high school romance drama smutty mess, and I'm here for it. You guys know how I feel about more like smutty series. I really love it. I've got like a whole shelf down here, like you just about see it there, and it's literally full of like smutty manga, and it's my pride and joy. So it wasn't really a surprise when I picked this up when it had that element to it, so of course I was gonna enjoy that part of it. But this basically follows a young girl. She's on the back here. She's basically an Omega, and in this particular universe that's a rare dying breed, and when a an alpha discovers he's found an omega, he has her transferred to this more elite prestigious school and has her basically as not one of his like servants, but I don't even know how to explain it, like part of his entourage. I don't know, and she has to hide the fact that she's an omega from the rest of the school, which is really hard for her to do. So she has these glasses. I think she takes tablets as well. I think I found that out in volume 3, I think, if I remember correctly. But this has been such an interesting read. It really, as I say, really opened my eyes up to like a different type of world. Like, I've never read an Omega verse before, and I'm like, why not? This is totally something that I'm interested in. I should have done this before. Going back to the characters themselves, in this particular series, there's only three alphas in this school, and each one has a different power. Nobunaga controls people by looking at them, one of them is by scent, and the other one is by like touch, but I think it's like touch as in like if he like licks them or something. That sounds really weird, but like if he kisses them and like licks them, like controls them. But yeah, it's really interesting. I had to put it into my favorite reads of 2021 because it was definitely different to anything that I've ever read before, and something that I'm really interested in continuing and moving on with further. I know Caitlin over at Caitlin's Does Manga has picked this up as well, so I'm like, girl, let me know what you think. I'm really interested because I don't know if this is your kind of thing. I mean, you read World's End Harem, right? So I was like, this has got to be more tame than that, so maybe you will like it. But I don't know if it's like your thing, but I really hope you like it because I've really enjoyed my time with it so far, and I can't wait for volume 4. But yeah, that is another one of my favourite reads of 2021, and it's a 7 Seas manga as well, and I don't really have that many 7 Seas manga in my collection. So yeah, so next is some shoujo, and we have an oldie but goodie, and it was even though it's an oldie, it's a newie to my collection. That sound makes no sense, but it's a new series that I added to my collection. I believe it was last year, if not the latter half of 2020, and I read it last year. I think I might have read it before that, I can't remember, but I'm including it in this because I bloody liked it, and that is Strobe Edge by Io Sakisaka. This series, oh my gosh, it had me all sorts of mushy. I absolutely adore anything Io Sakisaka, so honestly I could have literally put anything that I own by her, so Alho Ride or Love Me Love Me Not, but I've read all of this, so I wanted to include this. This has been a while since I've actually read this series, so off the top of my head I can't remember exactly what it's about, but it basically follows this young girl on the front called Ninako as she finds her first love, and it shows her story and her growth through high school with the guy who I believe is called, oh my gosh, what is this dude's name? I don't even know his name. I think it's Ren, but I feel like Ren is the guy from oh my gosh, from Alho Ride, so I could be wrong, but it basically follows this dude on the back here, and it follows her navigating high school life, her love life, like deciding whether or not she wants to be with her best friend or this new guy, and it follows the guy on the back who basically is already in a relationship, and him coming to terms with the fact that maybe that relationship isn't what it used to be, and that's totally okay. Like, each relationship grows and changes as time moves on. You can fall in and out of love with people, that's fine, and it shows that in this. Some people don't like it because of the element of the fact that the guy's already dating when he starts to get feelings for her and they're a bit uncomfortable, which that's totally fine. I I totally get that that's not for everybody. For me, I really enjoyed it because it showed the growth, that it's actually okay to fall in and out of love with people, that it's natural, it happens. And I really enjoyed that aspect about this. I also liked it because it was only 10 volumes long, so it wasn't that long, and it's not too much change. Well, it wasn't too much change on your wallet until it became harder to find and certain volumes out of print. But this was such an enjoyable read for me. It wasn't the gateway into Io Sakisaka's work, but I finished this before finishing Alhara Ride, and it made me want to read Alhara Ride even more, and also Love Me, Love Me Not. So I'm just in love with Io Sakisaka in general. Honestly, I could have literally put any of those series into my favourites of 2021, but this just so happens to be the one that I put in here because I enjoyed it the most out of the ones that I've read so far. But yeah, if you get a chance to find this series, definitely pick it up, give it a read. It was an enjoyable read for me. I loved every second of it. Io Sakisaka's work is gorgeous, the art style is just beautiful, like, oh, it's stunning, it's stunning. But yeah, moving on. The next one is one that I'm kind of hesitant about putting into my favourite reads of 2021, purely because I love it but I hate it at the same time. Bear with me. That is Love and Heart by Chitose Kaido. This is published by Yen Press, one of the only ones that I have in my collection. I have very few Yen Press series in my collection, but it's growing. But this is all kinds of messed up, all kinds of strange, silly, stupid, infuriating, aggravating, like every type of emotion I have when I read this series, purely because this girl on the front ends up coming home from I think it's college, and ends up with this guy in her house. His name is Haruma, I think that's how you say it. Basically, before she gets home, she bumps into this dude, drops her stuff on the floor. He ends up pocketing her house key, so by the time she gets in, he's actually at home waiting for her, but he somehow convinces her that he is an old friend and he's spoken to her mum. Her mum's chill with it, like she said like, that's cool, stay at our place, that's fine, and Yo seems to think that that's okay. Yeah, kind of weird, but we move on. Like, it gets worse. Not only is he just come out of nowhere and he's moved into her apartment, things keep happening around her that are strange, like photos keep appearing of her, and like all these different things start to happen ever since Haruma's arrival. And sort of in the particularly in the first volume, there's a scene where like stuff have happened and you see him in the background of a classroom, like up somewhere like above her, looking down with this very like intense creepy ass grin. And like as the volumes go on, there's more kind of deceit and manipulation going on through by Haruma, and it kind of makes me hate it but makes me intrigued, because how can Yo be so stupid to think that everything's okay and not question it, and then just continue on as nothing's wrong? Like, I don't get it. That's why I've put it in here as my favorite, one of my favorite reads, because I hate it but I like it at the same time, and it's just an interesting read for me because I've never had that before. Like, I'm really intrigued to find out like what the hell is going on with Haruma and Yo. Like, why is he so weird, like creepy and kind of manipulative? Like, what's behind that? He obviously likes Yo, but like there's been no explanation so far as to why, and I can feel myself getting really agitated, and that's why I've put it in here, because I want to read more. That sounds really weird, and I know some of you guys in the community really didn't like this, but for some unknown reason I'm really intrigued by it, and that's the reason why I've popped it in here as one of my favourite reads of 2021, because I'm truly intrigued, really frustrated, and curious to see what happens in this series. We have 3 josei. The first one is actually the first Shoujo Beat series that I've had that has been shrink wrapped, and that is Yakuza Lover by Nozomu Mino. If you guys know me and you've been following me for a while, you guys know that I love delinquent romance, or well, just delinquent type series. Anyway, I really liked Tokyo Revengers when I read it. Like, actually I probably should have put that in here, but I don't own it physically. But anyway, moving on, I really enjoyed Tokyo Revengers, but this is something that was gonna have to be in my collection at some point, and that is Yakuza Lover. This follows two adults, one in college, one the leader of a Yakuza syndicate, and basically what happens is this young lady on the front here, I think her name is Yuri, yeah, Yuri. She ends up going to a party with her friends, ends up being in this room where these guys are doing like drugs and stuff, and gets offered it and kind of forced upon them, and she fights back, kicks their backsides, and this guy Oya comes in and basically saves her backside from like getting hurt, and kind of their love story goes from there. It's kind of weird because they're not in a relationship, and then he becomes interested in her, she becomes interested in him, and yeah, their love kind of grows from there. This is very smutty, this is a mature read for a very good reason. There's a lot of, let's just say, saucy scenes in this that you would not normally see in Shoujo Beat manga series that they've released so far, but I like it. I know some people don't like it because Oya's got this like floppy hairstyle. I don't know if you can see it, it looks weird, but it's just funny. I love the action because obviously we're dealing with Yakuza, there are fights, there's violence in this. In the second volume there was quite a bit of violence as they go on vacation to Hong Kong, and one of the Yakuza bosses out in Hong Kong, or one of the gang bosses in Hong Kong, decides to kidnap Yuri, and Oya has to go and save her. It's just a good old time and I love it. It's not something that you really have to think about, to be honest. For me, I just really enjoy it. It's just a great read in my opinion. Yes, it's spicy. Do I care? No, I love it. The dude's got tattoos and I love tattoos, so yeah, I just love it. The art style is gorgeous as well. I don't know how far I can show you without it being too spoilery, but yeah, the art style is also really pretty. It's just hooked me and I will be continuing to collect this, so I definitely recommend it if you're looking for a josei spicy smutty time with Yakuza. The next josei we have is Sign of Affection by Sue Morishita, which is a manga duo, and honestly this was going to be in this my favourite reads of 2021. Let's be honest, I love this series so much. This follows two people in their 20s in college, one being Yuki, another Yuki. She is deaf, and basically what happens is this guy, oh my gosh, what is his name? I always forget his name. Basically this dude here is on a train and notices that a foreigner has gone up to Yuki asking for directions, and because she's deaf she is having problems communicating to him that she doesn't understand, and he steps in, helps, and then starts like interacting with Yuki. Basically he asks her about like teaching him how to sign, and it's all about Yuki opening up and allowing this gentleman into her world. It's such a beautifully written series, beautifully drawn. I love seeing the representation in manga with the deaf community. I love how they go into depth with sign language in the back of the volume as well to get you to understand a bit more. And it actually says in the volumes that the Japanese sign language is one of the most expressive sign languages in the world, and I just thought it was so beautiful, like how they included that in the back. Like I really did appreciate it. absolutely love the drawing. I love the romance. I love how like subtle like certain things are in this series. I love that we've got a best friend that has liked Yuki for a long time, evidently, because he's taken the time to learn how to sign to her. And it's so beautiful, guys. Like, I just love this so much. I don't want to explain too much about it because I'll spoil it for you. There's only 4 volumes out, but oh my gosh, I literally love this series so much, and I know a lot of you guys in the community do as well. Tiffany, Caitlin love it. Like, it's so beautiful, like so gorgeous. I just want to show you the color page in this series, in this volume, but oh my gosh, look at that. It's gorgeous. The story's gorgeous. The art style's gorgeous. This probably is my favourite read of 2021, like hands down, without a doubt. This series is stunning, and I applaud anybody that's interested in getting into like manga, or getting into, say, a josei series that they're not quite sure if they would be interested in. Give this a go. This is so wholesome, so cute, so well written, so well drawn, and I can't wait to see where this series goes. It is ongoing still currently, so yeah, I can't wait, guys. I'm so excited. So moving on to my final favourite reads of 2021 is another josei series published by Kodansha, and that is Perfect World by Rie Aragawa. Oh my gosh, this is another series that literally pulls at my heartstrings left, right and centre. Every single volume I find myself either angry, upset, happy, crying. Like, this gives me all the emotions that I want for reading. Like, it makes me feel something every time I read a volume of this manga. It follows this girl on the front here, and she is a 26-year-old company worker named Tsugumi, and she goes to a company meeting where she meets one of her friends from high school. Oh my gosh, what's his name? Itsuki. And Itsuki goes to leave and Tsugumi finds out that Itsuki has had an accident and he's now in a wheelchair, and basically she gets interested with him as she has to work with him for a company project, and the more she works with him, the more she realises that she's still got feelings for him. Itsuki basically doesn't want to have a relationship. He feels like because of he's wheelchair bound, he will be a burden on whoever partner that he falls in love with, and he doesn't want to do that. Basically, this series is following them as Tsugumi opens up Itsuki's heart as he's closed it and shut it away from the world since his accident, and it is so beautiful. Like, it's so gorgeous. I'm gonna throw out like some trigger warnings. This is a very sensitive subject, and there are scenes in here where Tsugumi's talking to her co-workers and they are so rude about Itsuki, and they are like, why would you want to, yeah, he's cute but he's in a wheelchair, why would you want to go there? And it was so frustrating to read that because that's so out of order. Like, why would they think that just because that somebody's in a wheelchair doesn't mean that you can't love them? They're still a human being. Like, it doesn't make any difference. So I found myself really pissed off at certain parts of these few volumes, the 4 volumes that I've read. But it's really an interesting read to see how Tsugumi is going to open up Itsuki's heart, even if it takes a while. Like, you can see him start to warm up to her. There's issues within the family where Tsugumi's dad doesn't want her to be with Itsuki. There's all sorts of drama in this series, and it's very realistic as well in terms of how it's told. Like, you see Itsuki in the hospital as he's having issues with his injury, and you see him really struggle with day-to-day life. So it's very, very realistic in terms of how the mangaka has like told the story, and it's so well done from what I've read so far. There's been so many different dramas. Like, we've they've like, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give it away, but there's been so much drama, and I've really enjoyed what I've read, and I can't wait to see this through to the end. I think it's still ongoing. If it isn't, it's about 10 to 12 volumes long, but I definitely recommend this series to anybody that wants to have a romance like josei. Like it's really good. It's really good. I've loved my time with it. But yeah, they were my favourite reads for 2021. I really hope you enjoyed the reads that I've chosen, or the ones that I've picked. Have you guys read them? Let me know down in the comment section down below what ones were your favourite. Have I convinced you to purchase any of them and give them a go? Let me know down below, or let me know your favourite reads for 2021, because I would be really interested to find out. Also, I might have to steal some of them to try, so let me know. I'm always interested in looking for new series, even though the budget won't necessarily stretch. But we can make it work, right guys? We can make it work. But yeah, let me know down in the comment section down below. But yeah guys, that's all that I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give this video a like, comment and subscribe and all that jazz, you know the deal. Yeah, I hope you guys are happy and healthy, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.